Hey y'all, welcome to Shea Butter Books, where we dive into books specifically by women or a person of color. Today we're going to dive into Barracoon by Zora Neale Hurston. Okay, so about the author. Who is Zora Neale Hurston? Zora Neale Hurston is she's a woman to be reckoned with. She's amazing. She is an African-American writer who helped shape the Harlem Renaissance with her work, Their Eyes Are Watching God. So she's most known for that piece, which I have not had the pleasure of reading yet. And she's also a poet, she's a folklorist, and she's an anthropologist. She's best known for bringing the Black experience to life through folklore. So actually going to meet with people, like in this book, she meets with Cudjo Lewis, she talks to him, she inquires about his story, and she then writes about it. What makes this book so interesting is that Zora Neale Hurston decided to write it in a way where she's capturing the essence of Cudjo Lewis. And what I mean by that is she wrote it in his dialect, in his Southern dialect. And during that time in 1927, I think it took her about 5 or so years to actually write the book and complete it. She was sending it off to different publications, and they were like, no. And the few people that were interested wanted her to rewrite the book and actually write it in regular English and not the dialect that she decided to write it in. And I think it's pretty cool that she stuck to her guns and she kept it in the dialect. She decided not to move forward with publishing this piece because she felt that having that dialect and writing in Cudjo Lewis's dialect really captures the essence of his story, and it does. While it can be a little distracting at times to read it, once you get the hang of it, I think that it really brings his voice to life. So I think it's pretty dope that she decided to hold on to her guns, didn't publish this piece, worked on it for, I don't know, for years, and then now, how many years later is it now actually published, and we're now able to hold on to a folklore masterpiece, honestly. Okay, so Cudjo Lewis was literally the last black cargo. He was a surviving slave. He was brought over from the transatlantic slave trade. Well, 50 years actually after the transatlantic slave trade. It was illegal when he was actually brought over. And he was brought over from Clotilda, which landed in Plateau, Alabama. When he was brought over, he was about 17, 18 years old. So this story here is really about his journey, not only just rooted into slavery and kind of the cruelness of slavery itself, but really it's about his life in Africa, and before he actually came over to the States. And then during slavery, we have a snippet of his life, and then also after slavery. So him getting married, him learning about the law, him having children. It is devastating at times, his experiences, but I think that it is rather refreshing to have a book like this that is more so about someone's journey than about the cruelness of slavery. Not that it's not worth knowing about slavery, but I think that when people often think about slavery, we never think about, okay, we freed the slaves, and then what? And then what? What happened to these people in the South? But then what happened? What kind of reform was created for Black people in order to be able to survive, in order to be able to have businesses, in order to do just anything, X, Y, and Z? After they free us, you understand me? We so glad we make the drum beat it like in the Africa soil. My countrymen come from Captain Burns' Muirhead Plantation, where we is in Magazine Point, so we be together. We glad we free, but then, you understand me? We can't stay with the folks what own us no more. Therefore, where we gonna live? We don't know. Some of the folks from across the water, they done married and got their wife and children. You understand me? Cujo not married yet. In the African soil, when the man got the wife, he built the house so they live together, and therefore the children come. So we won't build the house for ourselves, but we ain't got no land. Where we gonna build our houses? So when we look at our history and where we are today, it really explains like how things have really progressed or how much growth we really have to go through as a nation. And that's just being logical and looking at it big picture here. Because, you know, we freed the slaves, but did we have a plan for them once slavery ended? You didn't end the racism. You didn't end the fact that these people still, you know, it's like, what were they going to do for work? Some became indentured servants, and then some actually moved from the south to up north during the Great Migration. So in the end, I think that this is a very captivating read because it's not centered in the heart of cruelty of slavery. It is specifically about a journey. So someone's journey from beginning to end, you hear it from their own perspective, their own worries, and their own concerns, and the lack of equality in certain situations. It's a very slim book, so it's not hard to read. And you know, the pages here, it's like there's a bit of a foreword from Alice Walker. There's a bit of history and notes and that sort of thing from Deborah B. Plant, who was the person that actually, Remy wants to say hi, who was the editor of the book. I highly recommend it. I think that it'll allow you to look at history and where we come from a much different perspective. I think that if you walk away from this book and you're like, then what? What were their options? What were they able to do? And so forth, then I think that you're onto something there. I think that his voice really captivates you. For Black people specifically, if you ever feel that in a sense of like, okay, where do we come from? Because we have lost that essence. We know we come from Africa, but what part, we're not so sure. So with this, I think it's kind of like, it's kind of comforting in the sense of like talking to a long distance grandpa, even though I know that's not possible for me. I'm sure he's not my long distance grandfather. I'm from New Orleans, not Alabama. So yeah. Highly recommend it. It's a short read. It's very captivating as well. And I like how it's really to the point and it's divided into different aspects and journeys of his life. So thank you for joining me with Shea Butter Books. I have created an Instagram page specifically for Shea Butter Books, so follow it here, and please like, subscribe, comment, and I love to host you again soon. Take care, everyone.